what's going on, Golden Sky Radio listeners? Welcome back to the Inner Champions podcast for show number 2. On this show, we are going to talk about motivation and staying motivated when motivation fades. I want to remind you about the Inner Champions podcast. This is a podcast that is extremely, or hopes to be, extremely high motivating, uplifting, not necessarily spiritual, but just that extra kick in the rear end that you might need one day, of just kind of my experiences, and we're gonna really try to dive as deep as possible as far as just an example of when I had to stay motivated when I didn't want to technically stay motivated. So let's dive deep into that. We can break that down in a couple of different ways. Like I said on my previous show, when I talked about it's not necessarily going to be sports related. A lot of people in life need motivation when motivation is nowhere to be found. And I'm going to try to also teach you on how to stay motivated when you don't want to be motivated. But more importantly, I think find that motivation. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I think this is going to be a very good example of when I was not motivated at my best time. And I just dug to my core, and I guess I found that inner motivation, that inner drive to say, no matter when times are tough, we got to put on that good face, and continue to stay motivated for, I guess, in this instance, a team aspect. There was a time where I had a basketball team, and we ultimately weren't the best athletic team out there. We weren't the best sound team as far as we just didn't gel to begin with. There were a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of outside conversation and talk. If you guys have not known, or you don't know me, I am an extremely competitive human being, and I think that's part of the reason why that I still live on this earth today, is because of my competitive nature and everything that I do. Even within this show, I am going to win. I'm going to win the day. I'm going to do everything within my power, within the confines of the lines of, without overstepping boundaries or certain parameters. I am going to win at what I'm giving you in content. I am going to win at everything that I hope to explain to you and describe to you. And it's just, again, a mindset of mine. It's been a mindset of mine for years. And I think this is a big portion of why I still live today. Yes, that might hit home for some of you, because some of you might see me as over passionate, over zealous. But I really think that that is a big part of my character and a big part of why I was able to find that motivation without knowing that motivation was gone or was just absent during this particular time. So back to this team I'm talking about, we were in a predicament where, the game wasn't going our way. And simply, I just gathered my team, called the timeout, and within the confines of the timeout, we just had a simple conversation, more or less, of, and I wanted the team to say it. I wanted the team to relay it. I got your back. And then they point to the next individual and say the same thing. I got your back. I got your back. And then I found that motivation without finding the motivation, and the tables turned, and ultimately, after the fourth quarter, we ended up winning that game by 5 points. And again, that's one example of wanting to find the inner motivation. And like I said before on my previous show, is that it doesn't have to be in sports. This could be in a relationship. You're looking for motivation. This could be in a project you're doing. You're looking for motivation. This could be this simple radio station. There are days where we probably look at this and go, are we in over our heads? But at the end of the day, the owner of this station, I am proud to be a partner and work with her closely and tell her that no matter what, we are going to stay motivated. We're going to find that want and that desire to put forth our efforts and our energy into something that I think we both enjoy. And I'm learning how to enjoy it. I am not much of a, I shouldn't say public speaker, but speaking about me and myself. And again, this podcast for myself is still kind of brand new. It's about a year and a half long, and I'm learning the curves just as much as she's learning the curves on how to operate and function a complete radio station. But like they say, and the saying goes, it takes a complete village to run something like this, and it will be successful. You give it time. You give us your dedication, and you be a consistent listener, and you will see the growth within Golden Sky Radio and this platform, and the platform that we will continue to grow from and build from, and we will learn some valuable mistakes. We will learn from this, and we will have valuable lessons, and that all plays a role, I believe, in just finding that inner motivation to want to give back. I said in my previous episode, it's all about giving back to the community. It's all about giving you the nuggets to want to prosper and to succeed in that role. Whatever you could be struggling in, it could be a personal thing, it could be not a personal thing. It doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong answer, especially giving you this level of content. There's no right or wrong. It's clearly where you can come and you can just write down in your notebook, hey, I learned this on the Inner Champions podcast through Golden Sky Radio, how I can find motivation. And like I said, with that being said, that is where the Inner Champions podcast is going to put forth their best effort to give you the best advice possible. Yes, I'm sure, like most people might say, you can find this kind of advice anywhere. But again, I'm trying to make this as generic and as real as it gets. I am trying to give you life experiences. I will give you another experience of when I needed to find some motivation within myself to one day simply just live life. I went through a very tragic thing where I had my dream job lined up a year and a half ago. Everything, picture perfect, looked like it was going to work. And then ultimately, people wanted to be jealous of the said situation. People wanted to nitpick and point their fingers and play the blame game. And ultimately, I had to be the bigger person and just take a leap of faith and step down and just do what I did best. And I again went with my gut in a situation to where was it the best for myself? Absolutely not. I am still trying to bounce back from that and let it take care of itself the way I can see fit, on just continuing to move through life on how I feel that it is necessary. And ultimately, like I said a week ago, and I'll say it again because it truly means everything to me, this is the ultimate opportunity that I have here on Golden Sky Radio to ultimately show and express my experiences with not just myself, but with thousands and thousands of people, because who knows what this podcast can reach, or the value that it could have in somebody else's life. Because when I was going through such of a hard time with, again, motivation, like I said, for those of you that don't know, I found the Real Talk with Jordan podcast, and it really helped me turn the corner within a dark time, a dark place. And that is another reason why I am willing to give back to her, and for her, and for this community, is because of I am a person that likes to give back to like-minded individuals, and especially an individual that had a platform that I happened to come across and listen to. So ultimately, I can say from firsthand experience, if you just let yourself be sometimes guided to pick up your phone and scroll through, and we're hoping here at Golden Sky Radio, that's what our community can do is just push out our shows, push out our platform to somebody who might just need to listen to something that's motivating, something that's powerful, something that's within the confines of what they want to help them grow as a human, as a person, all together. As again, here at Golden Sky, we're a team, and we're just trying to find like-minded people with the same common goal to help us be successful, but then ultimately as a community help you become successful in whatever walk of life that you could be in, or whatever situation that you could be in. It could be a family, it could be something personal, it could be, a new job. It doesn't matter. Like I said, and I keep repeating myself, but I think it's important to do, is that there is no wrong answer in this particular element, particular podcast, particular platform. There is no wrong answer, and it is important for you guys out there to know and understand that with all of these things that you might listen to, and it might not just be my podcast, it could be somebody else's podcast about just being motivated and having that desire, that will, that passion, that drive, that ultimate. You set goals for yourself. Well, make it accomplishable goals, whatever those goals could be. Because at the end of the day, you build something brick by brick. Like I said in last week's episode, it's all about building a foundation. Once you have the foundation, it's like building a home. You have to put up the walls, and then within the confines of the walls, you put up the insulation. Within the confines of the insulation, you put up drywall, and so on and so forth. Then the paint, then all the pretty comes, and ultimately you're successful. Here in the next coming weeks, we're going to have probably a series of episodes talking about a vision board. I'm going to get pretty detailed with that as much as possible, and it will just explain again how to build a foundation. From the foundation, this is what you do in this scenario, this situation. I really hope that's when your notebooks come out and you guys can start taking notes and learning and grasping, again, how to make yourself successful, because this is a bigger platform than just me. I'm here to not really, sell myself and put myself out there that, I'm successful. I'm not a spotlight person, but I do like to give back to my community. I do like to give back to somebody who wants to learn, and everything that comes with wanting to learn. And again, before I forget, the other big thing that you should want to take away from an episode such as this one, when you're trying to find motivation, and I just mentioned this a second ago, I mentioned about building brick by brick. You want to build something small, accomplishable goals. They don't have to be the ultimate goal at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be the design championship. It doesn't have to be the dream house. Again, this plays a big role in my within the coming weeks of episodes, or shows, I should say, is that it's going to be about how to build, I guess, the vision board or the proper mindset, and how to have the proper mindset again, because this is something that if you're not in actuality, you're not really born with a proper mindset. Your brain is a sponge. You're trying to learn, or be on a proper right track on, the right narrow path of being proper, in learning. This is a complete learning experience. I wouldn't expect you to, for example, come out of the womb or anything like that and know everything. As long as you're willing to understand that, and wanting or willing to take the time to continue to learn, continue to train your brain, continue to understand that you may or may not have the right answers to everything, willing to be here with open arms, and just take one simple thing away from this, you will ultimately, at the end of the day, be successful at anything you choose to do or overcome, or find that, motivation. Because at the end of the day, it's more than just, again, I don't want to say I'm right or I'm wrong, but it's more than the attitude of me or the highway, or as the saying goes, my way or the highway. As long as you're willing to be that sponge and you're willing to take advice from others around you. Again, I just use this as another prime example because it's something that I continue to work on, and I've been working behind the scenes like we do here at Golden Sky Radio. If you can ultimately have the same like minded people, they don't necessarily have to believe in everything that you do to a T, but if you can surround yourself with the same like minded human beings and those people that you want to cheer for you, if you have those type of people in your corner, you will ultimately be successful at anything you choose to do in any walk of your life. Rather, as simple as picking up and purchasing your own home, as purchasing a car. As long as you have those people around you to rally behind, and again, to motivate you, to give you that positive reflection, to give you that drive, like I mentioned before, you will ultimately be successful. You can be successful at anything that you do. I have learned that, I think, the hard way. I used to be a very not negative person, but go by the seat of your pants, and I guess whatever happens happens. And then ultimately in 2015 I won a high school championship, and that changed my complete thought process, my complete vision on no matter what team I had, no matter what team I have, we are going to be winners. We are winners because again, that is how I believe. That is how I weaved my brain to believe that, and ultimately at the end of the day, I've been fortunate enough to also feed that energy, that wave onto my former teams, my current teams, and everything in between. And ultimately, at the end of the day, for basketball purposes, we have been successful for the last 8.5 years consecutively in a row. We've had a winning record. I've had 7 of those years as a head coach. I've had a very successful winning record with one championship, undefeated championship of winning 8 consecutive games back to back in a row. And I know, understandably, this is at the youth level, but here out where I live, we have a very competitive nature, and you wouldn't think it would be that way at the youth level, but fortunately it is. So, with all of this being said, and I know, again, it probably sounds extremely repetitive, but it's very important to remember this is with anything in life. And I know, like I mentioned in my previous show, this is just the walk of life that I choose to do. I choose to live. I choose to be giving back for going on 19 years now, consistently, consecutively to our youth, in any way humanly possible that I can, and to show them that they can. Put forth the effort and energy to want to do a sport, want to do an organized sport, and ultimately within teaching them how to adapt in the real world of our life today in 2026. But ultimately, with all those distractions and all those different things that might potentially get in the way, we can be winners. We can be successful at winning, and you can also be a good, a winner when the times aren't good. You ultimately can control what you can control, and you can control how you win. You can control by how much you win. But again, it's that vision, it's that thought process, it's that desire of just being resilient. And I will say, for anyone, not just in sports, this is ultimately a challenging, uh, disciplined life to live. But again, if you want any level of accomplishment, if you want any level of success, and I guess just change of life, change of whatever you might be going through, you have to ultimately sacrifice 1 to 5 things. And if you do that, again, that is another way that you can be accomplishable. That is another way that you can be a winner. That is another way that you can ultimately be very successful within the guidelines that you're looking for. Rather that be hunting for a new job and you want it to have a certain pay scale And again, a lot of this is going to be broken down in depth, in detail, when I bring out my whole vision board process, and I guess diagnostics at that point, and kind of analytics on the proper approaches through 1 through, I think it's like 7, the do's, the don'ts, the goods, the bads, the uglies. And I really hope that, again, something along these episodes, these shows, will hit home for you, and you guys can ultimately take a bit of notes and reflect on those notes. And again, remember, everything that I'm giving you and all these different experiences is not for you to take word for word. Take something out of them, convert them into your own language, your own, way of thinking, and then turn and twist what you can turn and twist and go, okay, I can apply this nugget here. I can apply this piece of advice here. I can apply this over here like this. I'm not asking you to word for word, like an audiobook, say, okay, this is what coach did. This is why he's successful. Understand that you are your own human person. You make your own style. You make your own mistakes. You make your own corrections, and you also make your own your own successes, your own milestones, your own level of being who you are. I ultimately can't come in your daily life and say, hey, I can give you these guidelines, which I'm doing here on the podcast and on the show, but at the same time, I can't. It's like the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but I can't force you to drink. It just goes along with that. I can give you all the tips and tricks in several hundreds of episodes on how to be great at something, how to be successful, but you ultimately have to make that sacrifice. You ultimately have to make the decision to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm built for this. I'm meant for this. I'm built to be positive. Positive reinforcement can do you a lot of good. Being your own positive leader of filling yourself with the proper things you watch on the internet can be good. Again, it's what you feed yourself is what you'll get in return. So I hope you were able to gather something in show number 2, episode number 2, whatever you want to look at it, however you want to look at it. Really, at the end of the day, I really hope you were able to come here and take something home. Before you click on out of here, please do me a huge favor. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Currently, I know for sure on Instagram and on TikTok. TikTok is at golden.sky.radio. On Instagram at goldenskyradio. Make sure you like some of our posts over there. Be sure to hit the follow button. That would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to continue to grow those platforms. And also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, issues, please reach out to us on one of those social media platforms. We would love to answer any comments, questions, concerns some of you audience members may have or just want answers to. Last but definitely not least, please do me a huge favor and check out our website at goldenskyradio.net for any further details or descriptions about our radio station. There are ways that you, I think, can even email some questions in there as well if you don't find us on social media for whatever reason, but I know for sure we are out there on Instagram and on TikTok. Please make sure to check out the website and for daily updates or for sure weekly updates on any of our shows or things that we have coming to the radio station. Thanks for listening, and this is Coach from the Inner Champions podcast, and we will see you next week for show number 3.